that you are well, and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 2 English lesson on adjectives that compare. So, we'll be doing our grade 2 English lesson on adjectives that compare. And before we start with our lesson on adjectives that compare, we're going to log into aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged into aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts. And then grade 2. All right, after selecting grade 2, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of adjectives that compare. And in our previous lesson, we did the chapter of adjectives, and we said an adjective, it either tells us about the noun or it describes the noun. It either tells us about the noun or an adjective, it describes a noun. And noun, it names a person, it names a place, animal, thing, or an idea. So that is a noun. So an adjective, it tells us more about the noun or it describes a noun. So today we're doing adjectives that compare. So it's like comparing the two nouns, for example. So our chapter is adjectives that compare. Our subject is English Language Arts, grade 2. And the lessons that we're going to be focusing on today under the chapter of adjectives that compare is to identify comparative and superlative adjectives. So when it comes to comparing adjectives, we have a comparative adjective where we compare two nouns or two words. And then we have a superlative adjective. And during this lesson, we are going to find out the difference between a comparative adjective as well as a superlative adjective. And also when to properly use it. All right, so we are also doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. So we're doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. So we'll be doing it now on aplusstudents.ca, but also if you want to go back after this lesson is in, that you want to go back, recap and go over certain things, then you may go to aplusstudents.ca. All right, so basically some adjectives, right? They compare people, they compare animals, places, or things. So some adjectives, they compare people, animals, places, or things, right? And when it comes to comparing either people, animals, places, or things, we have a comparative adjective and we have a superlative adjective. And a comparative adjective right? It compares two people, animals, places, or things. Two. So comparative adjective, it compares two people, places, or things. And when you compare either two people, places, animals, or things, and then the word, right, that we use to compare, it needs to end in er. So if we use the word tall, we say Andy is tall. So we need to use this word tall. So Andy is tall. If we compare Andy to another person, right? For example, we maybe compare him to his sister. And then we're going to say that Andy is taller. So he's tall, but he is taller than his sister. And as you can see, that word tall, it ended in er. So tall, er. So we say that Andy is tall, yes. And if you also compare him to his sister, then he is taller than his sister. So Andy is taller than his sister. So that we call a comparative adjective, and we compare two people, animal, places, or things. Only two. And then we have the superlative adjective. And the superlative adjective, they compare more than two people, animals, places, or things. And they end in est. So Andy is tall. And then if we use that word tall again and we compare him to his sister, then we can say Andy is taller than his sister. So we said superlative adjectives. They compare more than two people, animals, places, or things. And when they compare more than two people, animals, places, or things, then they end in est. For example, Andy is tall. And then we say he is taller than his sister. Remember, we said with the superlative, it is two or more things. So it ends in est. And if we now compare, let's say, Andy to the rest of the class, and then we can say he is the tallest person in the class. And we added our E, S, and T. Tallest. So we have the name or the word, then we have taller and tallest. So when it comes to short adjectives, right? Actually, when it comes to comparative as well as superlative adjectives, then we have short vowels or short words or short adjectives, and we have longer adjectives. But we're just gonna focus on the short adjectives, the one syllable word. So comparative. And if we look at the examples, right, here we have the comparative on the left and we have the superlative on the right. So comparatives, right, meaning comparative adjectives. It's like you need to have the adjective plus er. So for example, we would say if we say short, so if we say short, then if we compare, then we say shorter than, com and then the superlative is the shortest. The shortest. And then we also have quick. Comparative is quicker. And then our superlative is the quickest. So this is how we need to write it, for example. You have the comparative on your left, shorter, quicker, and we added our er. And with the superlative, it is adjective plus est, the shortest and the quickest. Then we have our three, which is fast, faster, fastest. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca. And we are now going to go to our lesson where we identify comparative and superlative adjectives. And we said some adjectives, they compare people, they compare animals, places, or things. So we first say that this person is tall. Now compare to sister, he is taller. Taller. And then we have a superlative adjective which compare more than two people, places, animals, or things, and they end in est. All right, so now they need the question, yeah, the question says, find the adjective that compare. A sunny day is nicer than a rainy day. So a sunny day is nicer than a rainy day. So a sunny day is nicer than a rainy day. So if we find the adjective that compare, and then we're going to say it is, see, then we say it's nicer. It says it ends in er. So the weather is nice, but a sunny day is nicer than a rainy day. And for some people, a cloudy day is the nicest. So a sunny day is nicer than a rainy day. And that is a comparative adjective. It's a comparative adjective. Nicer. We need to find the adjectives that compare. A calf is younger than a cow. So a calf is younger than a cow. So we need to find the adjective that compares. So what is the word that compares the calf as well as the cow? So the calf is younger than a cow. And if we find the adjective that compare, and then we're going to say it is younger. It's younger. So younger is the adjective or the word that shows the comparison, the comparisons, shows the comparisons between the calf as well as the cow. So younger. And remember we said it ends in ER. And this basically shows comparison between two animals. And then Mitch's television is the biggest one you can get. So Mitch's television is the biggest one you can get. So biggest. So biggest. Is biggest a comparative adjective or is it a superlative adjective? Biggest. It ends in EST. So Mitch's television is the biggest one you can get. So we say Mitch's television is the biggest one you can get. So if we find the comparative adjective, or let's say the adjective that compares, and then we're going to say biggest. So biggest. So we have a comparative adjective and we have a superlative adjective, right? And when we compare two people, places, animals, or things, our wording or our adjective, it ends in ER. So if we compare two things, right? And then we end our word with ER because we are comparing the two. But now if we are comparing, let's say, more than two, and then we will say it's EST, like the word that I just underlined. Mitch's television is the biggest one you can get, or the biggest in the school. So we say biggest. So we have younger over here, and we have biggest. And these two shows that the one is comparative and the other one is super. So we can then say that we can maybe say the cow is taller, or no, younger. So we can say the cow is younger. So we can cow is younger. So younger than the calf. So younger is the word that shows comparison, and it shows the comparative or comparison between the calf as well as the cow. So we have our comparative adjectives and then we have our superlative. And we said comparative adjectives, it ends in ER, and our superlative adjectives, it ends in EST. So now we're going on to our test. We need to find the adjective that compares. Sarah's hair is lighter than Eric's hair. So Sarah's hair is lighter than Eric's hair. So Sarah's hair is lighter than Aaron. So which means that if we find the adjective that compares, then it is lighter. So lighter is the adjective that compare. Dale is the youngest boy in the class. So Dale is the youngest in the class. Is it the youngest or is it boy? Youngest or boy? So youngest it is. So Dale is the youngest boy in class. An elephant is stronger than a horse. So if we select the comparative adjective or some comparative word, and then it's going to be stronger. So it's going to be stronger. And then find the adjective that compare. Aaron is the kindest person I know. Is it kindest or is it person? So is it kindest or is it person? So Aaron is the kindest person I know. So if we select our comparative or superlative adjectives, the adjective that compare, and then we can say it is kindest. It is kindest, meaning she's kind and she's the kindest person that we know. Our kitchen is cleaner than our living room. So our kitchen is cleaner than our living room. Is it cleaner or is it kitchen? What is our adjective that compares? So cleaner or kitchen? So we can say our kitchen is cleaner than our living room. And then this wolf is the meanest wolf in the pack. So this wolf is the meanest wolf in the pack. So we need to select our adjective that compares. Is it meanest or is it wolf? Meanest or wolf? So we can basically say the meanest. And the cat is meaner than the dog. So the cat is meaner than the dog. So if we choose the word that we must compare, it is meaner. And meaner is correct. Tracy's tent was the cleanest tent at camp. Tracy's tent was the cleanest tent at camp. So if we select the adjective that compares, we will say cleanest. And then we have, oopsie, this car is the safest car of all. It is the safest car of all. Is it safest or is it car? So we will then choose safest. All right. And the last one. Mr. McLean is the wisest man in town. He is the wisest man in town. And if we choose the adjective that compare, we will say wisest man in town. And a calf is younger than a cow. So calf is younger than a cow. All right, so basically that is like comparing, right? And when we compare adjectives, and then we have our comparative adjectives and we have our superlative adjectives. So now, Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. So Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. And if we select the adjective that compare, is it brightest or is it star? So Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. So then Sirius is the brightest star. So we will say brightest. And then the television show is Stranger than the book. And then we can say stranger, which is a comparative adjective. So big mountain is shorter than table mountain. So shorter. So we say Julie's Julie's sunglasses are darker than Lindsay's. And that is us comparing adjectives, right? Remember when we said that you compare two adjectives, right? One that is more comparative, like for example, it ends in er. So we just compare two places, animals, things, right? And then we have a superlative adjective, and the superlative adjective is so identify comparative and superlative adjectives. And if we identify it, then we start with tall, taller, tallest. So our adjectives that compare. And also remember, when we are comparing adjectives, right? Then we need to keep in mind if it is words that are just straightforward and not words with syllables in it, right? It's only the straightforward adjectives. And then we compare these adjectives. All right, so lastly, if we compare just one example of a comparative adjective, right? Here we have taller is taller, and here the superlative meaning he is the tallest or the saddest, right? All right, so grade two is our lesson on adjectives that compare. And remember, we said that with adjectives that compare, we have comparative adjectives and we have superlative adjectives. Comparative adjectives are it's adjectives, or it's when you compare two people, places, animal, or things. And then we have a superlative adjective, which compares two or more people, places, animals, or things, and it ends in est. For example, she's tall, he is taller, but for example, Cameron is the tallest. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on adjectives that compare. Thank you very much for joining the class, and I really hope you're going to have a good day further. Goodbye.